You do the roll call, please.
I can. Councilmember Hensley.
Here.
Councilmember Teague.
Here.
Councilmember Ward.
Here.
All right, we're all present and accounted for. Next thing I'd like to do is ask Todd Smith to lead us in the invocation, and then Tim Ward to do the pledge.
Pray with me, please. Heavenly Father, we stop and pause and thank you for the great many gifts and blessings that you give us. God, we're reminded of you've put us in a country where we have peaceful transfers of power, and with elections that we've got a transfer of power that is set up that allows for transition. And we thank you that we live in a country that does that gives us all the freedoms and liberties that we do enjoy. God, we ask you to be with those who are outside tonight, who may not have a place to stay warm. We ask you for warmth. We ask you to give them food and comfort during these cold periods of time. God, we ask you to be with the city council today. Give them wisdom, give them direction, and give them a vision for the future of our community. God, we pray these things in your name. Amen.
You'll face the flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, folks. As far as mayor's comments goes, just a couple of things. I'd like to commend the Public Works Department on taking care of our roads. I've had 4 or 5 people call, and when we've had the snows, I was expecting to hear someone say, "Why didn't you get my driveway or my road?" But all I heard was, "Thank you so much for getting the roads cleared and taking care of it before it became a problem." So I want to thank the Public Works Department. I also think we've got a couple of employee recognitions, so if I could ask Patsy to come up.
As always, thank you for allowing us to do this. And I know y'all agree with me in recognizing employees. The first one that I'd like to have come up is Keith. Keith, okay. He just asked a few weeks ago if I would proctor a test for him. Well, I want to congratulate him. He is now a certified public works professional in management, and he has earned the designation after his name, CPWP-M. And this is actually provided by the American Public Works Association. So to me, that's a high honor for it to be, a national certification. So I have you a certificate, all right? And so we want to congratulate you. First.
Norman. Congratulations.
Congratulations. You keep that.
I keep
Yes, sir. Okay, this next one, we were going to try to do last meeting. And this person actually retired a few weeks ago. And when we were ready to honor him, he was out fighting a fire. But not with our town. But he is the chief of Tusculum Volunteer Fire Department. But I'd like to ask Marty Shelton if he would come up. Marty has given us 35 years of actual service to the town of Greenville. I think that's astronomical. In fact, he only had, all those years, he only had a couple of sick days. that's even more honorable, which actually allows him almost 40 years of service time with the Tennessee State's retirement plan. So
We don't honor quitters. 40 years.
Almost there.
And so I got the message the last time that he is out fighting the fire out at the the foundry. So he didn't stop. So you want to turn around and get a picture?
About 9 months and get in the door. I think, as far as I know, until we done this full time, we hired the Greenville Fire Department. Now that's 21 we're hiring, back down 18 now, so there's a chance I could get beat.
We should have recognized that if we can find people like you.
Fighting fires and doing all stuff associated with it, that's been uphill. You need to do that volunteer side and teach with that, so I still carry it on, have contact with the department. It's all bad.
I talked to your wife earlier, and she said she wanted you to keep fighting fires to keep you out of the house. Put up with you.
All serious, all the work she's for.
Before you sit down, Marty, let me say a couple things about you and your legacy. Marty's career can be summed up as legacy. And it starts with what you do, what you're passionate about, obviously putting out fires, but for the last several years, you've been training the next generation. And there's hundreds of firefighters, not only in Greenville, but across Northeast Tennessee, who have learned and been mentored and are firefighters today because of Marty. He takes that very seriously, making sure the next generation is ready for public service in this critical job that you do day in, day out. But I want to add on top of that, several years ago, we had a transition in the fire department at fire chief level. And we were out of a fire chief, we were without a fire chief for a few months. And Marty stepped up and did an incredible job to provide continuity and intimacy. In fact, the fire department went forward with Marty as the interim fire chief there. And personally, I couldn't have asked for a better person to be in that position, to be in that role. And it was seamless. The transition was extremely smooth. Marty stepped up and did a tremendous job for us. So I'll always be thankful personally that you handled the department without any flaws and input from me. So thank you, Marty.
And it's good to be able to do that. We've got a good team working with you. Awesome. All we need is the ones who work.
I've already said it. Got it. Appreciate it. Hope everything's done.
One more comment real quick. I'm going to ask Scott Keith to come back up here again just for a second. Some of y'all might have noticed something that happened down on the end of Bernard, so I'm going to let Scott explain more about what that is.
So at McKee and Bernard, we came to you a little while back to see about some intersection improvements that we ended up implementing here recently, mainly to alleviate the left turn issue onto Bernard in the afternoons, primarily when the problem was coming up. There's just no gaps in traffic. So the southbound lane, we have to sit there and pretty much wait 2, 3, 4 cycles to get through. So combination of things, we went ahead and redid the overhead on the signal, replaced all the signal heads, replaced the cabinet, adjusted the operation to install a southbound left turn, and also a northbound right turn overlap that runs when Bernard is running, so that'll hopefully continue the flow around the corner from McKee on to Bernard and just improve the intersection as a whole. It seems to be working pretty well. We're watching it to adjust that left turn arrow time because it comes up every cycle. So we're watching that to make sure it's working properly. And even sometime like late night, we just turn it right off so it doesn't delay the northbound. So far so good. It seems to be working pretty well.
I don't know about any of y'all, but I've gotten some calls about it and saying thank you, and it's much better. So thanks, guys. All right.
Can I just put a reminder out there to please make sure the microphone is close to your mouth as you converse during this meeting? I think we were having some sound problems last time, and I think a lot of it can be fixed with just microphones coming up.
Okie dokie.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, is there any public comments? Okay, unfinished business, item 7.1 is consideration to approve minutes from the regularly scheduled meeting held on January 7th, 2025. Those were sent out earlier in the week, or at the end of last week. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second. There's a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those against, like sign. Motion carries. All right, item 7.2 is appointment, reappointment of vice mayor.
Yeah, this is, I take the hit for this one. We should have done this back in September when we have our annual meeting per our charter, and closely reading the charter and having Ron Woods, our city attorney, look at it again. We really should have had a reappointment and appointment of our vice mayor in September at our first meeting. So this is kind of some house cleaning from a few months ago of an appointment or reappointment of our current vice mayor, who's Tim Teague. And I say that the charter says that position of vice mayor runs concurrently with the position of city council. And so when that city council position is over, technically the vice mayor position is over. And since Councilmember Teague was reelected to his current term, we probably should have taken that vote then. So with your approval, city council will take that vote now.
Do I hear a nomination for vice mayor?
Nominate Tim Teague.
We have a nomination of Tim Teague. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a nomination and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, like sign. Motion carries. Congratulations, Mr. Teague.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, on to new business. 8.1 is update on Net Trans program, Northeast Tennessee Transportation Program. Candace Long is going to talk a little bit about what's going on, and I think she's got some exciting news to share too.
I do. Is that close enough? Can you guys hear me?
Can y'all hear him?
Good. All right. So I'm Candace Long with NetTrans, and I'm just going to give a quick update, just a review of the service that's currently provided, and then introduce a new service that will be coming early this year for the town of Greenville. So NetTrans is the regional public transit. We connect the Tri-Cities between Bristol, Kingsport, and Johnson City, but we also provide door-to-door demand response service for every resident in the 8 counties surrounding the Tri-Cities, which means every resident of Greene County has access to public transit. There is no application process or qualifications. Anyone can use the service. We have a fleet of 110 wheelchair-accessible vehicles. Our drivers receive background checks, national criminal history, drug testing. We do extensive training on safety and customer service. And the exciting news is that we recently received a grant from the Department of Energy to diversify our alternative clean fuels program to include electric vehicles. We are going to use 2 of those electric vehicles to provide a same-day service in the town of Greenville. And it will extend out to Tusculum College and to the Green Valley property that's being developed now. While we were working on planning the routes, we had our software company building a mobile app, so customers can now download our mobile app. They can book directly from their phone. It'll give them real-time ETAs of when the vehicle will be there. They can pay with credit card. They can cancel their service or cancel their ride if they no longer need it. And so we're covering all of the city of Greenville, Tusculum, and out to Green Valley. There will be other phases. Greenville's our first phase of the project. Then we intend to expand to Elizabethton next, and then go on to Jonesboro and Arwood. The schedule will be available Monday through Friday from, it's actually 5 a.m. to 6 p.m. The fee for the service is very reasonable. 0 to 5 miles is $2. 5 to 10 miles is $3, and 10 to 20 miles is $4, and so on. The charging stations for the electric vehicles will be at our office, which is at 217 South College Street, and that's where the program will be ran out of. Does anybody have any questions?
I think this is a great program and a well-kept secret, and we're trying to get the secret out. You're basically, I mean, it's a public transit rideshare program that is available to our customers and our citizens in Greenville. So part of the reason I thought we need to broadcast this to as wide an audience as we possibly can, just because it's a great service that you're providing for us. So thanks for coming to talk to us.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Do we have a link to this on our website?
We will have a link.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, it's on the next level, because before it was sort of call and we'll get there sometime. And now you can track and also schedule a pickup, right? Isn't that correct?
That's correct. In our current service, you have to call the day before by noon, but with the new service that we're rolling out, it'll be same day. You can just request the ride whenever you're ready, so it'll provide better customer service, be more customer friendly.
That's exciting.
What's the wait times for your riders? Like if they're at the hospital and they're waiting to be picked up and they use the app?
So with our current service, it's an hour plus travel time. So let's say you request to be picked up at 4 o'clock. Our software will schedule you as close to 4 o'clock as possible, but the van will arrive sometime between 4 and 5. With this service, we're going to have 2 dedicated vehicles stationed in at South College Street. So we expect our response times to be much quicker.
Where is where is that?
That's right.
I mean,
South College Street.
yeah, what is it? Is that the?
Yeah, it's the First Tennessee Human Resource Agency building. Probation runs out of there currently.
Okay, all right. Any other questions or comments?
Okay, well,
Thank you so much for coming. We'll get this out.
Thank you. I appreciate you allowing me to share this with everyone.
Talk to these 2 people. This is the Greenville Sun and WGRV.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Candace. Okay, next is item 8.2. It's the Greene County Anti-Drug Coalition update and vision for 2025. Lynn Broyles, welcome to our meeting.
Thank you. I hate having my back to everybody, I'm sorry. Well, first of all, I'm Lynn Broyles. I put a business card up there for you all. I wanted to come and introduce myself. I've been now with the Coalition for just at 6 months. Coalition's been around about 2 years. Started out as a volunteer organization. The need grew, and so Wendy P. and the United Way worked to get us a grant to start, which we're still operating under. And so we're very grateful to Wendy for the vision, but they were able to hire someone. So there was another director for a short time, and then I joined in July. As I said, we operate under the Tennessee State Mental Health grant. We receive that every year. It's right at about $77,000. And that is what we have for salaries, for everything. And so we were very grateful to get the opioid abatement funds that were available year before last. And so that is sort of sustaining us at this point. Our mission and vision has changed somewhat based on what we're seeing in our community. We are primary prevention. And that's what I have to say. Don't print that because of our grant, but I will say that primary prevention has changed over the years. One of the things that we're seeing is a cyclical kind of generational addiction issue in Greene County. And so some of the families, we're seeing their grandparents that have been through recovery and through addiction services, and now we're seeing grandchildren. And so our idea of prevention has somewhat changed. We feel like some of the recovery supports, some life-saving harm reduction measures, and that means administering and training people with naloxone, Narcan, also other safety types of issues that we try to put out there. But basically, we want to promote education and prevention methods, but also we want to change kind of the narrative, maybe the conversation about this. When we're in the community, a lot of times we hear those people, or that's not my problem. I don't have that issue. My children, that'll never happen. And I'm here to tell you that's not true. And I'm sure Mr. Ward can attest to that. Anytime you say it won't happen to me, I would be looking. So I think what we're doing right now is trying to get some public awareness about some of the things we're doing. We want, of course, to communicate, collaborate, coordinate with our partners. Again, these are some of our kind of main goals is, of course, primary prevention, education and awareness. I think a lot of people don't quite know what's going on in our community. And I don't want to be Debbie Downer, but it's not all good. We had a meeting today with our regional representatives, and we were told that Greene County is tied for first in the northeast region counties, the upper 8, for the most fatal overdoses. And that's not a statistic we want to be first in. That's not what we want Titletown to be. So harm reduction and safety is becoming a bigger part of what we do. It is controversial. We've had some pushback over trainings and offering naloxone and Narcan. People feel that maybe we are enabling people, but I take issue with that because we never know when that might need to be administered. Sometimes it's unintentional. Sometimes we have people that are basically being poisoned, and yes, it may have been their choice to take a substance, but they weren't completely aware of what was in it. So we want to make sure and talk about that, as difficult as that conversation is. The other thing is recovery support. As I said, we have generations of people, and so one of our goals right now is to kind of get in and help families whose parents or grandparents that are raising them have addiction issues, so that we can kind of do a wraparound approach and get them the help that they need now to deal with some of the mental health issues that they see. We had a person that was a good friend of ours at the Child Advocacy Center, and she told us about an interview that they were doing with a child. And when they were playing babies, she took an ink pen and pretended to inject the arm of the baby. And when they asked her about that, she couldn't explain. She was under 2 years old, but that's what she'd seen. So instead of feeding a baby, she was injecting a baby. And those are the kind of things that we see and we know are out there. And we need support to be able to fight that. And then, again, community collaboration, that's huge. It's going to affect all of us at some point. It may already have. And so this is not going to be just a coalition problem or just a law enforcement problem or a school problem. It's going to affect all of us. It's affecting our jobs, our churches, our families, our neighborhoods. In 2023, Greene County lost 48 people to fatal overdose. That's 3 times the amount of yearly auto fatalities in Greene County. And that was somewhat staggering to me. The Tennessee overdose rate is 51% higher than the national average. I'm a visual person, and a big UT fan. So Neyland Stadium is kind of the way I gauge 100,000 of anything. And unfortunately, the data is a year behind. So right now we have 2022, over 107,000 people died from overdose in the U.S., and 2/3 of that was from fentanyl. This is an older slide with the map, and this is from the same the same source that I met with today. In 2021, Greene County was the highest, and we are now tied for the highest, but we have not made a jump or any improvements as far as they are concerned. We do know that 73% of the deaths in Tennessee were from opioids. Naloxone, Narcan, that works on opioids. That is what it's for. But one of the scary things now is that the drug dealers are one step ahead of us. So now we're going to hear about some new drugs that are out there that will not work against, or that will not work as a life-saving measure. So we are up against now kind of recreating some things. And so I put this on there that lethal dosage of fentanyl is what you see just there on the tip of the pen or pencil. And that is enough to kill an adult, and even less than that now. So DEA, the information we got today were that there's a new drug called nitazene, and the DEA said that they tested the tablets. The seizures that they had, when they tested it, they were 145 times more fatal than fentanyl. So when we're talking about fentanyl being 50 times more potent than heroin, now we're moving up, and then it goes to other things. So, we have these types of drugs that are in our backyard. We were told that East Tennessee needs to be very careful because of our geographic location. We're near the corridor, and that typically you think of larger cities. West Tennessee may see things first, and that's not true. East Tennessee is seeing it first, just because of our location and where we are in relation to multiple interstates. The other thing we're facing is vaping in schools that is just unreal. And it's become so commonplace. And we need help working to change the retail establishments. We need help with consequences. They're paying fines when they sell to underage people, and it's not a big deal. They'll come back every day and pay that fine, and that needs to change. And so we're trying to work it from multiple angles, one of which is trying to work to find ways to inhibit that and create some barriers so that they're not selling to underage people. So, as I said, I'm the executive director. Christina Mabe is a prevention coordinator. Leanne Spradlin is a prevention coordinator with us. And Ace is our newest employee. He was created for our children. I remember give a hoot, don't pollute. I remember those things. And so when we're talking going into schools, some of this is a little scary. And so we hoped that ACE might be something that might help bridge that gap and start some conversations. So you've probably heard about things we've done. We do, drug take-backs. We help with the LEAD program, Camp Success. We do a lot of recovery and community support. We're working really hard to establish our youth program in both the city and the county schools. Retail compliance checks, that's something we've been doing to try and figure out where some of those problems are and who's breaking the law. And so we would love to share that with you at any point. We'd love your input. We meet every third Thursday over at the partnership. And I know Todd's been to a couple of our meetings, and we really appreciate that. What we need from our community is support. And it's not just financial support. It's you talking about these problems, sharing the problems, helping us find solutions. We all have different perspective, and you never know when someone sees something or can come up with something. So we want to partner with our community, with workplaces. This is affecting their workforce. You know, they can't always do what they want or need to do as a human resource person because they wouldn't have employees when you're dealing with some of the substances that people are using on a regular daily basis. So it's a problem that's bigger than one group. And so I just wanted to come today and just let you know we're here. We love your input. We'd love our community to kind of gather around and let's figure this out. Instead of just talking about all of the bad, let's figure something out and kind of, you know, put our efforts where our mouth is. So I just wanted to let you all know that we appreciate you, and we'd love to work together if we could.
Thanks, Lynn. I know we've had some meetings with the DA's office and also our representative talking about some of these issues and the vapes and the CBD and that thing is that stuff is very challenging for us, and we've tried to put some things in place and still work. I guess the legislature had done something to address that, and the judge has ruled it unconstitutional, or so I for one support your efforts. And
thank you. Well, and we'd love to be a part of that conversation, and we're trying to set some things up with David Hawk to try and see if we can affect some change that way.
We see a new store popping up just about every week
Yeah.
that's selling
Yes.
the vape products, I guess CBD,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So it did get shot down on the floor?
No, there was a judge that it was passed, I think. It was supposed to start in January,
Yeah.
and the judge said it wasn't right. Somebody in Nashville.
Give us more teeth
Yes.
to take their license.
Well, it was gonna, the FDA was actually gonna start doing some things and testing the substances more. I don't think it had any
Well, it's underage
additional
children,
teeth.
that's, you know,
That's the big ones.
one strike, you're gone, or
We need to, we'll continue to work on that.
Well, thank you.
Lena, you bring data to us that is very valuable. And if you look at the numbers, and it didn't hit me until I had to put it in my perspective. And if you look at the numbers, we're losing more people in this country to overdose deaths than we did on an average year when we were involved in World War II. Our country is losing more. We're losing World War II era numbers of overdoses, and that's year after year after year after year. And you know, we put billions of dollars in a national effort into fixing World War II. We need the same level of effort to fix this issue. It's just going to take a whole effort of government and churches and law enforcement and schools and families. That's going to take that level of effort to fix this. And thank you for being on the front lines.
Thank you. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
All right. Next is item 8.3, marketing and media update. Christina Potts is going to come up and talk to us.
Okay. I have a lot of slides, but it goes quickly. And I agree with Lynn. I'm a visual person, and visuals go a long way. I'm going to be thinking about that pencil with the fentanyl on it for a very long time. Well, thank you for having me do this today. This is a marketing update. I'm saying 2025, but I haven't done one since 2022, so a little bit of catch up to do. wanted to kind of start with going over our goals again. These haven't changed since 2022. Marketing and media are here to enhance revenues, support economic development and business, promote a positive town image, and attract people to live, learn, work, and advance business here. We're going to look at the target audiences, the goals, the strategic priorities, and the highlights. So our target audiences have not changed either. Existing residents and businesses come first for us, of course. And then we're also looking to speak with young families, young professionals, remote workers, and new businesses. So we've been very fortunate to have lots of development happening here. So new businesses are plentiful, as well as new housing and things like that. So since 2022, I'd say we've seen quite a bit of change. Wanted to show you Facebook reach and how that's changed over the years. So you can see the numbers there, 129,000 reach. Reach just means people who saw your content. So this is our content on our main Facebook page. The town has several Facebook pages with different departments, but our main one is what I'm talking about. In 2023, we had quite an uptick. It went up to 466,000. And then this past year, 2024, kind of maintained, went down a little bit at 461,000. So I feel like 2023 was a real growth year, and kind of to get new followers, get lots of activity going, and then a little bit more of maintenance in 2024. Instagram has sort of a similar path. Instagram is a little bit harder to break into because the audience is a little harder to find. Facebook audience grows faster. So as far as our reach, it has grown. It grew 128% in 2023, and then has taken a downturn, and I will take responsibility for that because I think I haven't posted as much. So more posting will have more reach. As far as follows, Facebook has kept going up in follows, and since 2022, we have doubled our followers. So we were at 8,000 when I came on, and we're now close to 16,000. So I feel pretty happy and proud that everybody's been sharing our content and getting more followers. So last year we got 4,000 followers, and you can see that uptick in September. We tried to be a very good source for information, tried to have all the important and pertinent and true information during Helene. And so I think that's why we saw so many people come to us at that time. We actually had, I believe, almost 700 new followers on one day, on September 29th, or September 28th. So people were coming and looking at our content, and so it was unfortunate circumstance, but a good way to share the message with people. Instagram, we saw the same thing, big spike in September. We got 183 followers on one day on September 29th. So again, putting Helene coverage to the forefront was really a major goal of ours, and I think we accomplished that. So in our goals and our strategic plan from 2021, these were the 3 goals that had to do with marketing, and these are the ones that I keep coming back to. Even though we've pretty much completed the 2021 strategic plan, these are still our main goals that we have. So connecting better with our citizens and employees by enhancing communication, improving our gateways, and increasing local, regional, and national awareness. So some of the ways that we have been doing this is connecting better with our citizens is by enhancing our communication with the Greenville Grapevine. So this is something that we're sharing on social media. This is usually short form videos. Some of you have been in these videos. And this is just trying to get the message out when there is sometimes incorrect information or information that's just not as publicized. We're trying to get that information out. The other thing is Todd and I worked on a survey. He mostly worked on it. I put it out for him. It's a customer service survey that we are sending out right now, and that link is on our Facebook page if anyone wants to take that. It's very short, to the point, and gets us some good information about how we're doing on customer service. We will be following up with more surveys in the future. Here's a few snips from the Grapevine. As far as improving our gateways, one of those is the website. So in April, we launched a new website, and what that's allowed us to do is to have lots more functionality. So we have forms that we can have on our website. We also just recently added the ability to pay bills online. So that's a huge feature that people, and especially in customer service, have been asking for. And we've also added more rigor to the department's content. We have a live feed function. We have news on there. We have a lot more options with this website. So we think it's gone well so far. And we invite everybody to go and take a look at it and submit feedback if you'd like. Social media obviously is one of our gateways, which I've already talked about. And then town image and brand. What I've tried to do with the town image and brand is try to reiterate the strength of our brand, but do it correctly, and also try to freshen it up a little bit. So you'll see, like on graphics, I've tried to, again, use our brand, but make it kind of smaller, attach it on lots of different items, especially our graphics, and kind of give a consistent feel to our graphics and our brand. One of the other things that was on here is signs, landscaping, those kinds of things. Public Works does a lot of work with that, and I have to have a contact over there that I can work with. And we also have a new landscaping position. I can also work with that contact. And there's been some great plans that are going to be put into action, hopefully, in the future. So that's going to help enhance our gateways and make Greenville just look better overall. Strategic Actions 3. This was about increasing local, regional, and national awareness. And so one of the things, Todd kind of took this opportunity and ran with it. This magazine called Business View featured Greenville, and I provided some photographs, some from Larry Horn, myself, and from Gina Holt. And so we think that showed Greenville in a positive light. And then the comments and the article was from Todd, Kevin Morrison, and Cal, I believe. Or no, Jeff and Cal. So there were 4 people quoted on that article. So it was a really great article for us to get the word out. The other thing that I don't have a slide for, but I've just kind of mentioned is trying to do more appearances on WJHL or other opportunities like that. So from 2023 to 2024, we've doubled those appearances, and hopefully we can do that again as we've come to make more contacts there. So Helene coverage was a big thing during 2024, as I alluded to, and Public Information Officer came to the forefront. I completed a Master PIO certification in March. Had no idea that I would need to use it in September, but it came in handy, and all the things that I learned in theory, I got to see in the real world. I finally got to go to an EOC and some things like that and see how that works. So that was really great to kind of see how that works, be able to communicate with people, show what was going on in the community, get out and take photographs, because again, those are worth 1,000 words. Kevin. Also did graphics, and then with WGRV, we did live feeds each day, getting the word out about the updates for what was going on each day during I guess it was probably the first 10 days or so of that. So now I want to talk a little bit about the events that we have in the town, and just give you a little bit of numbers on these. So basically, we have a software called Placer AI that we can use, and also the partnership has it. And so it gives us a little bit more information on how many people come to our events. So Midnight Main 2023, it was basically 2022 going into 2023. We had 2,100 people. 2024, we had 2,500 people, so it was going up. This was a really exciting one because we got to use Depot Street to its full potential. And then this most recent one, we were up to 2,800 people, which I thought was pretty good for how cold it was. But everyone had fun, and there's a couple of redo, because Cal and his wife Jolynn got to redo their kiss again, so we had a couple pictures of that. So thanks to everyone who came out for that and helped with that. As far as Juneteenth, this is something that we've been doing, I think, for 3 years. We partner with the George Clem Multicultural Alliance, and we get about 350 people each year to this. So this was 2023, and this was some of the graphics for 2024. And we'd like to keep working on that event and keep expanding it. American Downtown, First year that I did it was 2023, and we had about 3,400 people. And this past year, we had 5,100. So we're proud of how that's growing. We have had some people say they would like to have it on July 4th, but the crowds actually kind of make it much better for us to have it on Saturdays. It allows us to have the full day. It allows the police officers to still have a vacation on July 4th and many other reasons, but that's working out well. You can see that kid loved it. So, and we have these two people come to all of our dances and dance, and they actually they're great. So then heritage events. There's a few events that we have added to, usually in the month of April. This is something that Tim Massey, our county historian, and I have worked on. So the first one that we kind of worked on was the, actually this graphic is incorrect. The first one was the birthday party for Greenville and Greene County. So it was our 240th in 2023. We had almost 800 people there. And then we did a State of Franklin anniversary the year after, in 2024. And we had about the same, about 700. So 700, 800 is about how many we have come to these. And they're great fun, lots of dress up opportunities. And then this last slide is showing the Christmas, it was the Davy Crockett Christmas that we did at the cabin because they were not able to do it at the park. So I wanted to show you some images. In 2024, Depot, well, for a few years, Depot Street has been a big topic. So as far as social media, it was one of our largest. People really love seeing the progress. Our Back to Depot party had about 2,300 people there, so it was well attended. The band was fantastic. We had the clock unveiling for the Rotary Club. So it was a really good celebration that we had. And that was August 2023. And then at the end of 2023, we did the official ribbon cutting for Depot Street. And then wanted to just mention, this kind of skips to Citizens Academy, that was a little abrupt there, but Citizens Academy is one of the things that I work on. This is usually happens August, October, or September, somewhere in the fall. This last year, I believe we had 9 graduates, and this is this past year. I have 2 in the audience that come faithfully. And then the year before that, we had 7. So it's grown a little bit, and I think with the newbies spreading the word, it's actually been growing. It's going to grow faster. They seem to really get a lot out of it because they haven't grown up here, so they need more information about how our town works and how our departments kind of fit together. So I think they have said it was very helpful for them. Speaking of departments, I just want to show a few slides of just how marketing helps the different departments. I put Dogwood Park in here. We have concerts at Dogwood Park, which is, of course, a Parks and Recreation facility. The fire department helped them quite a bit with different events that they have. They had a fire station dedication, engine dedication, then another engine dedication. So they've had plentiful receptions and dedications. Here's some Parks and Recreation images. Here's the grand reopening of the J.J. Jones Memorial Park. And then for the police department, I help them with graphics for different apps that they come up with or when they're hiring, same as with the fire department. So, in summary, and I'm sorry I've talked so fast, but I wanted to get through very quickly. Some of the things I want to continue doing and we want to continue doing for marketing is to post consistently and to send press releases out consistently. Continue to track with the calendar that I use. This tracks all of the posts that I do, wherever it may be, website, Facebook, Instagram. Strive for brand consistency, assist with the signage, landscaping, mural projects, and network and attend professional associations and conferences, and gather citizen input and feedback from those surveys, and then increase engagement and reach new audiences.
Thank you.
Hey, any questions?
Christina, I'm curious, do you
Yes.
manage each of our socials independently, or do you have a software that you can manage them all at once and cross-post things and that kind of thing?
You can. Our website allows you to post to Facebook, Instagram, and the website, and even some other things at the same time. There are limitations, though, that we found, and so the images, when you send the images through that way, they end up being smaller. And so usually I end up going back to posting them separately on each platform. It's just because each platform has different requirements and different resolutions, and it just doesn't always work together. Yeah.
And then I'm curious to know, like, when people comment on Facebook posts or the Instagram posts, the good, bad, ugly, and different, what is kind of our policy or your strategy for handling that? Is there a policy that we have as the town of, do we ignore it? Do we engage? Like, what is? I'm just kind of curious. You know, that's the people. Like you said, use it for news. So
Yeah, we have a social media policy. It doesn't address that as in depth, like what will be answered, what won't be answered. Sometimes it's kind of delicate. Sometimes I'll go to a department and get more information before I answer something, especially if it has to do with public works or police or fire, because I want to make sure that the vocabulary is correct and everything is true. And especially, we will be more likely to answer something if it is thoughtful and inquisitive and not just slamming us. So if it's already just a slam post, it's usually better not to answer those. Most of the social media guidance out there is to not engage with people that are like that. So that's usually what happens. But if someone has a genuine question, we would love to answer that, and whether it be publicly on there so that everyone understands, and then I'll also give them my contact information if they need to speak with me. So it just kind of depends. And I will mention one. Oh, go ahead, Todd.
I was just going to say, I think there's another opportunity that we use social media for, and that's just to clarify,
Yeah.
if there's misinformation out there, then Christina's got the opportunity to clarify, put the correct information out there, so that's another opportunity, I think,
Yeah, one of the things that came up recently was about that traffic signal. Social media got a little ahead of us on getting the information out, and so it was kind of like backpedaling a little bit to correct the information. And most people understood once the information was corrected, but there are some people who just, for whatever reason, like to just twist a knife and like try to just make up things. The person actually said they were just making it up. They had no reason, they had no information. So that happens, and you just kind of have to take it with a grain of salt and just carry on, you know, and keep defending the truth, I guess.
Well, I just want to say that I appreciate all the work that you're doing in this department. I've seen, heard from a lot of people that are on Facebook, Instagram. They can see just the quality of the content, like the posts that you're making, and I'll tell you that I appreciate the kind of like brief agendas that you post before city council meetings. Like, it's just kind of, hey, this is what's on tap today if you decide you want to come. And I just think they're super useful and helps with transparency and all of that. So I'm curious to know, though, do you have any ambition or aspirations to jump on the TikTok bandwagon? No short form content. I mean,
Dodge that bullet since it's banned now. You know. No.
Oh, it's back up right now. It's back up. It's back up. Come on now.
Okay. Well, no. I don't think TikTok is actually an appropriate means for us. I know other municipalities may have found success with it, other police departments and things like that. I think Greenville, in my estimation, we are not quite to that. We like to add a little bit of humor and things like that, but I can see some of the things that people do would probably not be as well recepted as other communities. And maybe we get there someday, but I think you have to go slow, and you kind of have to know your audience and not go too out there. I mean,
Right. Well, that was what I was going to ask, if you had been looking at other like municipalities to kind of compare, you know, for your strategic plan
oh,
moving.
sure, yeah. There's some police departments that do some amazing things, and I'd love to get some of the guys to do some dances and things like that, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Chief says no.
I think that would be great.
No, I bet we could get some, but yeah, it also just has to be kind of one of those things that you agree to do, because you could have backlash from it. You never know when you're going to have backlash from something. So I think it's better just to be a little bit more cautious with what you put out.
Right. I just think it's you keeping just an eye, if nothing else, keeping an eye on it because, I mean, I'm not personally on TikTok, but I'm going to out my wife here. She is. And when it went away for those like 14 hours, she was devastated because that's how she, communicates, in her world professionally and stuff. So I was just curious to know if that would have been something you had thought about exploring because a lot of people use it to share events and, just things that are going on. And it's that short form content, right? So it's super important. But like I said, I appreciate everything that you're doing in this department, and you can tell it's paying off. I think through those descriptive stats you shared.
Thank you. One thing you jogged my memory on software. We are using a new software called Restream that allows us to. Right now, when we stream this meeting, we're streaming it to Facebook and YouTube at the same time. And that was something that we tried for the first time when we were doing the briefings at the Helene coverage. So that was one of those things, like a kind of a step forward that was made from just, we've got to make this happen kind of thing. So that's one of the things. And also the other thing is a lot of the event photography is taken by my husband because usually I'm, working the event and he is taking photographs. So thank you to Larry Horn for so many photographs that he has given to the town.
Yes. I'd also say thanks for all you did when we were having the challenges with the floods. You set the room up and got the lights up and got cameras and microphones, and so you were our chief information officer, I think. So
Thank you.
thank you. Anybody else?
Thanks.
All right, thanks, Christina. How fast can you talk?
I can talk
Wow.
so fast. Mine's not as elaborate as the other ladies, I promise you, nor as exciting either.
I don't know, it's pretty exciting when we see those monies going up.
So, on page 68 in your packet is the presentation for the November financials. And so, the excess in the money there, the 2.1 million, the bulk of that is our property tax. Our property tax collection started in October. And with the hurricane right at the beginning of that, we got off to a really slow start. But we have picked up, and we have had our online payments just started last week. And thanks to Christina, she actually sat in with our software representative and set up the website. We've tweaked it a little to make it easier. We've got a couple more tweaks to do as we get a little further and clean up some bumps. But for the most part, we have people call in and say, hey, we can't take your credit card anymore over the phone, but we've got a great resource for you to pay online. And we have people that are taking advantage of it. So,
Is there a processing fee for that?
it is. It's actually less than it was before. So property tax, well, in general, your debit or credit card is 2.5%. It was 2.75. Property taxes, if you pay with, and utility billing, which is our commercial garbage services. So if you pay with those with a check, it's $1. And so that matches the counties. The county has the same fee. And coincidentally, I will just say this. We did find out in this process the county uses the same portal that we do, which is it's actually no charge because it's our software vendor, so it's part of the package. If you go online and set up your account to pay your property taxes for the city, you can link your county taxes as well, and vice versa. So we did figure that out. So that makes it a little more convenient. Anyway, the growth on the local option sales tax and state sales tax, that's actually growth. So what's in the December financials is the November distribution on the sales tax. That's October reporting and September activity. So in talking to a couple of peers in the Northeast Tennessee region, there was a large bump in sales tax activity right that weekend of the hurricane when everybody knew it was coming. And then when we knew that our water was going to be turned off. And so there was a lot of that, a lot of online ordering as well. So there was also back to school. Kids started back to school a couple of weeks before, and then we had a lot of back to school shopping for needs and those sort of things. So that is true growth. We are on track, so if you go over to page 69, for property taxes, we're where I would expect us to be, about 44%. Local option sales tax and state sales tax are both, we're right at the 50% mark, so we're on track for budget for both of those. And then, if you go over to page 74, the slides for local option sales tax, you can kind of see that, we've got a little bit of an uptick on the state and the local sales tax both. And alcohol taxes are relatively flat. They're still growing, but they're relatively flat. Anybody have any specific questions, comments, or anything about the financials?
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're
I think
welcome. I was
that's
going to say,
it.
across the board, all of our funds, that's just the general fund, but all of our other funds are still right on track. Nobody's swinging too different one way or the other. So that's all on that one. Questions, comments? Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
And I'll echo Lynn and Christina, the graphics help, so those charts are very appreciated.
Welcome.
All right. You talked about giving it to us, and now you want to take it away.
I'm
Consideration
so sorry.
Consideration to approve a quote for the finance office to upgrade the payroll module for Next Gen Financial Software in the amount of $14,796.80. This is a budgeted item.
It is. So this is our payroll module. So I have a verbal quote from our web-based software. Of the roughly 15,000, 7,000 of it is for our support, and then 7,800 for the payroll module. So this will streamline our payroll process. This time next year, our employees can get their W-2s electronically, so we save on buying the forms and printing them out and the whole thing. So this is the next step. The last step on our software, we hope is going to be available. That's our accounts receivable. That's one of the accounting modules. Should be available by the end of the calendar year, and that will get us 100% on the web-based software, so everything will be contained in one module. And on the support side, that actually saves us about $20,000 a year, because we'll only be running one system, and the support for the web-based is a lot less than the old Linux DOS system that we have.
Okay. My wife says, I'm going shopping and I'm going to save you money because I'm going to go to the places they're having sale. Anyway.
Well, fortunately, it's the same company. We just need it. No, I know.
I'm sorry.
It's the same company. We're not switching companies and making large changes. The biggest changes we've already made.
Will there be self-service on the payroll where people can change their W-2 and those kinds of things? Is that something you're looking at doing in the future?
No, that's more of an HR. That would be more in Kronos, more of an HR module. I know that that's available, and I know that Patsy and Andrew have looked at that and want to look at more capabilities on the timekeeping side. The financial side of it, the payroll side, is just easier, low-hanging fruit.
Okay. Well, we've heard a recommendation, or do I have a motion to approve this?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second? Second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, like sign. Motion carries. Thanks, Laura. Item 8.6 is consideration to approve a resolution to accept Deborah's Way as a public street and add to master street list. Randy? Hello.
How are you all?
Good.
I am presenting to you only for the second time in my tenure here a resolution, and only the second time in probably about 25 years that you've seen a resolution like this. But just to remind you briefly of how the process works. When a developer comes into town, and this applies to mainly residential areas, or pretty much essentially all residential. This doesn't apply to any commercial type developments. But if they desire or need to construct a street to gain access to lots and obviously homes to make the development viable, the process is, of course, they first bring to us a set of civil engineering drawings, which describes how the street is to be built, grades of the street, widths, pavement sections, so forth and so on. Then, once those are approved, a plat is submitted, and on that plat, an area is designated as a public right-of-way. And Kathy, do you care to go back to the map, if you don't mind? And you'll see that illustrated here on this development. Again, this is for a street that has been named Deborah's Way. This is in a development called Redtail Landing, which is off of West Van Road. So once the plat is submitted, there is an area, usually 40 to 50 feet wide, that's dedicated as a public right-of-way, which gives anyone access to use that right-of-way to gain access to their property. Then the actual street itself is constructed, and once the street is constructed, our Public Works Department and our department inspects it to make sure that it is up to our standards. And if it is, then the process is that it is first submitted to the Planning Commission to agree to accept the street for maintenance purposes. Okay, and some people get a little confused about when it becomes a street and when it's not a street. But what the action you're taking today, the right-of-way has already been dedicated by the plat. What we're doing today by this resolution is accepting and taking on the maintenance of this street, meaning fixing any potholes, scraping snow, any other items or issues that might come up with the street. So this resolution is to accept this street. It's approximately just right at 500 feet long. And Kathy, you can go back now if you don't care to the photograph, or a couple of photographs I have. This is at the bottom of the hill looking back up to West Van Road. And as you can see, a very attractive neighborhood. The developers did a good job on this. They were actually only required to do sidewalk on one side of the street, but they felt it would be beneficial to do it on both, which they have done, which certainly makes pedestrian accessibility much easier in this development. They have done a good job as far as the construction. Mr. Scott Keith and his staff went down from Public Works, inspected, looked at this. They were agreeable with the construction, and this was presented to the Planning Commission. They also agreed that we should take this on as a official street, and what will happen if you approve this today, this street will be added to the town's official street list or master street list, which when questions arise about such as scraping snow, obviously if it's a private street, private driveway, will not do that. But if it is an accepted public street, we will do that. So essentially, if you're in agreement with this resolution to accept this street, the town then will take over full responsibility of the maintenance. Police department, of course, they already had access to this, but they can, if we feel need to install signs, speed limits, things of that nature, we would have the right to do that, and this would become the newest official street in the town of Greenville. Now, just as a side note, we had this request made for some of the streets at the Johnson Farms development. And of course, we had some discussions on some issues with those streets. We felt that they were not up to the standards that the town wanted to accept. We have been in discussion with the developers there, and we have got a solution worked out where we're going to get those streets to our standards that we can accept them. But as I said, before this street and the other one was out on Oak Grove Road, in the development out there, since, as I said, probably 25 or 30 years, there's not been a new street built in Greenville. But I can assure you that in the future, there are going to be many more. So this will be a much more common occurrence as the streets in Johnson Farms development continue to be built. There's approximately 2.5 miles of street in that development that will be ultimately constructed. So we will be taking on more responsibility as a town as far as resources needed, and certainly I would just plant the seed, be thinking about that moving forward, because there is more and more pressure, need being put on our resources, our public works department, garbage collection, various other things that are only going to increase as time goes along. So again, very good, nice development. I think I think there's only one lot left in this development. Had a total of 15. There's a house on every lot. I think they're all sold. People are living there, and it was a very successful development, I think, for the developer, and we would love to see more of these happening in Greenville. We're in discussions currently with several developers concerning more residential construction, and we certainly hope that continues into the future, as we are in need of housing in Greenville.
Right.
How are we assured that that is built to our standards or our specs? Do you do a bore or anything, Scott?
Yeah, I was going to add less.
Okay.
Scott coming.
I know Bert doesn't have an inspector out there the whole time that they're pouring sidewalks.
In this case, so currently Public Works doesn't really have an inspection process. That's something that we're working on. It's something that's come to light, not only here, but more so at Johnson Farm. We need to be involved from the get-go. This particular, the asphalt portion of this, we were actually able to pretty much watch as they did the initial and then the final coat.
So this does have a binder and the topping on it, right? This picture does?
It does.
Okay.
And we looked at this, and we inspected this really to the same level that we looked at Johnson Farms. I wanted to make sure we were on the same level playing field with this versus them. And we just didn't find anything here that would indicate to us that we're gonna have problems. Visually, we were able to measure like the sidewalk depths and things like that, the distance between the mailbox posts and the back of the sidewalk to make sure we met ADA and things of that nature. So we were able to do that, but we did not take any core samples anyplace.
I was talking with somebody that had worked in Knoxville in the past in their public works department, and they actually contracted with a company to do those kinds of borings and watch them, and it was paid for by the developer. That was a part of the development process. So I think we really need to look at, and it sounds like you are doing that, but looking at having good numbers rather than it looks good. So thank you. I appreciate you
I
doing
mean,
that.
with all of them almost developed, you said there's one empty lot. All the concrete trucks have been through, poured sidewalks, poured the driveways, so basically it'll probably stand. But you're correct. We need to maybe add this to the developers, not the town for sure, because this could bite you in, 2 years if it wasn't built correctly. And we accept it. And then the trash trucks keep moving back and forth, or whatever it is, concrete trucks building new driveways, and they start sinking on us or cracking, people are gonna be looking at us. It's your road, it's your sidewalk, fix it. But it is a nice development.
Well, do I hear?
To Mr. Teague's point, I will say that the planning and department specifically has begun. We had an initial meeting with the representative MTAS last week or a couple weeks ago, and we are in the process of actively updating our subdivision specifically and development regulations, and certainly the items that you have mentioned here today will become a part of that. So those are things that we're looking at making changes to so that we do have an assurance that what we're taking the responsibility for is constructed to our standards.
That being said, I'll make a motion to accept the street.
Thank you. A motion by Mr. Teague. Is there a second?
Second.
By Mr. Hensley. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, like sign. Motion carries. Thanks, Randy.
Thank you.
Item 8.7 is consideration of a resolution for the town of Greenville to apply for the 2025 Tennessee Housing Development Agency Home Grant. Who's coming? You going, or you gonna talk about it up here?
Yeah, I can do it. We applied through with THDA for a number of years in our development district, was our partner in doing this, and COVID hit, and the funds kind of took a hiatus, and we took a hiatus. We did get some funding through Greene County, through their THDA home program at times, but we decided it's time for us to go chase our own form of the grant. We're applying for $500,000 through the home grant program. As soon as we get approved, we will have an application process that will be broadcast to the community, so there'll be a public process to seek applicants out there to do some renovations to homes that will get them up to code and safe places to live. So excited to apply and have this program in our community again.
Is this a yearly program?
It's a yearly program, yes.
Okay. And I think had heard about one house, maybe it had a new roof put on it, that kind of thing.
Covers roofs, HVAC systems, windows, doors, anything that will be a code issue to a home or make it unsafe or unlivable to live in, they will come and do those projects.
Okay. And this is free and clear money. There's no matches or?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Do I hear a motion to approve this resolution?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second? Mr. Hensley and Mr. Ward, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, like sign. Motion carries. Item 8.8 is consideration of proposal of Mattern and Craig for engineering and design on turn lane extension at State Route 34, which is Highway 11E. Why do they call it State Route 34 and Ruth Taylor Road? I think it's trying to confuse us.
State Road 34, 11E, bypass, main line.
321.
Lane, several. So we have a capital project for this fiscal year. We have $100,000 set aside, directed towards some of the improvements on 11E that stem from the traffic study that was done a few months back, actually in the fall of 2024. One of those projects was to extend the turn lanes at 11E and Ruth Taylor. It actually calls to extend in all four directions, but for right now, with the funding that we have, we want to move forward with extending the left turn bays on 11E. So this request is simply to allow us to go ahead and solicit Mattern and Craig to provide the design services for this project, to get our design off the ground, get the permitting done so that we can hopefully go to construction in the fall. So Mattern and Craig was employed several months ago to actually do the initial traffic study out there through an RFQ process. They've also been utilized to design and build or manage the construction of the traffic signal at Cerro Drive. So to me, it makes sense. We know they're qualified. We've evaluated that. It makes sense to go ahead and continue their services if possible to provide the design and the engineering oversight for this project. So basically their proposal gives us the design services, advertising and bidding, and then construction management services if we should choose to do that. $32,500 for the design and the handling of the bids, and then an extra $30,000 not to exceed 30,000 for the management of the project once it goes to construction. So, and we will be taking this proposal to a meeting with TDOT down in Knoxville to try to solicit their partnership. It's their roadway. You know, so we're going to reach out to them as well. And this was also included in the 10-year project submittal to TDOT, which I don't have any feedback on that yet, but it's in there. So hopefully we'll be able to get them to pitch in on this as well. But we wanted to go ahead and use the funding that we do have set aside to get the project underway. And I feel like going ahead with their services would be a good move in this case. That's my recommendation.
We've got a recommendation from Mr. Keith. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So the engineering firms are 32,000, is that right? Is that what they're pricing it?
There were the first two tasks, basically the design services, and the task 2, which is advertising and bidding, is 32,500. So that's what we would definitely use them for. If we wanted to continue their use for CDI once the construction gets underway, that's up to, but not to exceed, an additional 30,000, and that's based on an hourly
And
rate.
we're planning on turning lanes on both sides?
That would be, this would cover the turn lanes, the east-west turn lanes off of 11E onto Roof Taylor, both directions. It's going to extend them out
All the way up to like Ingalls,
for
whatever you called it, Crockett
500
Crossing?
feet, I think, was the,
Or are they gonna stack it up that far is what I'm asking? That Crockett Crossing, which is where you turn into Ingalls? It's in the green.
it
all the
won't
way
go
to
back
Roof
quite
Taylor.
that far. The survey and all will go, it'll extend back there, but the turn bays will be about 400 feet. I don't think it'll go. I don't know
That's
how
pretty
far
much,
that is.
that's pretty much it. When the houses completely fill up, it'll probably take it.
Yes. And
With only a single left, it's going to be pretty tight.
do we have a quote on what the construction cost for this will be, or do we have an idea?
I think all total for just this portion with construction is probably going to be about 300,000.
While we're messing with that intersection, does it make sense to do Roof Taylor also, or would it be better to wait and do it separately because you're gonna mess up both incoming and,
I think the cost for the side streets, because there we're probably gonna have to, I don't know if we'll need right away or not, but there's a lot of probably utility relocates, and just the scope is much larger because the lanes don't already exist. So we kind of thought as
They
a,
just sort of take it out of the medians on this.
Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna have to create that, like, I know there's sewer and water there has to be
be
relocated.
a lot of work on the side streets there.
well, we'll be step by step, can't eat an elephant all at once, huh?
And I hope this project, especially if we tackle the entire project, is one of those indicators to TDOT that we're partners, we're local partners, and that's what they've stressed in their 10-year plan, is that when the communities partner with TDOT, it gets bigger projects moved to the front. So maybe this demonstrates that we're good partners, and they can help us on the Roof Taylor intersection, on the other sides of the Roof Taylor intersections at that point.
Okay. Well, if we've got a recommendation, do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
I was beginning to wonder there, Scott. I thought you were presentation skills. We have a motion and a second from the Tims. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Scott. Item 8.9 is consideration to approve the purchase of a vehicle for the Greenville Police Department. Chief Spano, can you dance up the aisle here? Tick-tock, tick-tock, get him.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Do what? Okay.
We're requesting $25,000 to purchase a used Dodge Durango. And then it's gonna cost almost 11,000 to get the equipment in it, so it's almost gonna be 36,000 total. But if we bought a new car, you're looking at almost 60. So, and this car will actually be for me. I haven't had a car in a while, because when I did have a car, it wound up going to patrol because I felt like I needed it more than I did, so.
You've been walking?
I drive my personal
Oh.
car.
I know.
No, I think
I haven't picked
I haven't been walking.
I haven't picked you up lately.
He's gotten a scooter.
Yeah.
But Carl up at Carville, who we deal with a lot, is just a great guy. I called and told him kind of what I was looking for. He got the car in. He had his people go through it, make sure everything was functional, and then he added a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty to it. So all for 25, and the car's worth a lot more than 25. He really did us a good.
And this is with the 7-year, 100,000 miles? It's
Like
not a
we-
budgeted item, Laura.
We like to support.
It is budgeted.
I make a motion, we approve it.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Do I hear a
I
motion?
would also like to say one thing about dealing with the Drug Coalition. They have been wonderful to work with us especially. I don't know the experiences that everybody else has had with them, but we rely on them heavily. They help us out tremendously on everything we do. All we ever have to do is just call, and they're there. And so I just want to say thank y'all, because y'all are a tremendous help for us, and us to be able to educate our children on the stuff. They took the lead on that, and we appreciate them very much.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We got two motions and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the city council is adjourned, and now I'd like to call to order the beer board. Is there any public comments? Okay. Old business consideration to approve minutes from the special call meeting held on October 15th, 2024. So moved. We got a motion here.
Second.
And a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. New business 4.1 is consideration of an application for on-premise consumption at Sweets Sports Tavern and Eatery, 805 Tusculum Boulevard. That's next to Gosnell's.
So we did the background check on the applicant, and we didn't find any ordinances or anything, no criminal background to stop them from being able to get it. So we respectfully request and recommend that we approve it.
Okay, we got a recommendation. Do I hear a motion? There's a motion.
Second.
And a second. Any further discussion?
Is that at the old post office?
It's Gosnell's Music.
That's the old post office.
Oh, is it? I haven't been here that long.
You're not that old, are you?
Well, I'm way older than that, but I just haven't been here that long.
I don't know where it is.
Across from the liquor store, big time, or,
Eastgate Shopping Center.
yeah.
Yeah, they've got the signs on the building
You
now.
don't remember?
The Burlap Bunny, across the street from the Burlap
That's
Bunny.
where it is.
Yeah.
And there's parking in front, is it on the? lower
Well, I
right?
assume that they'll be using some of Gosnell's since he rents the place to them, so he probably knew that they would be needing
I
parking.
guess
They do
that's-
have
I
some
guess that's
parking there,
Burke's
but
position.
I assume that they'll be using Gosnell's also.
They got a pool table in there apparently.
They have sunk a lot of money into that business to try to make it work.
Darts.
So they had to put a kitchen and everything in it. They put a lot of money into it.
Talking to
so
Jill
it'll be
Shelton, I
successful.
think she said they had about 25 televisions.
Yeah, they do. I think they'll be successful.
Okay,
I don't have any more questions.
okay. We've got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you,
Thank you,
Chief.
sir.
Appreciate you. Do I hear a
Motion to
motion?
adjourn.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate everybody coming. Oh, God.